So a little reprieve. Apparently this Thanksgiving, the holiday dinner will cost less this year, and this is according to the American Farm Bureau Federation's annual Thanksgiving survey. The average cost of this year's dinner for 10 people is $58, and that's a 5% drop from 2023. But, still 19% higher than before the pandemic. The centerpiece of the meal, the turkey, has helped bring down the overall cost. And according to the Federation, the average price for a 16-pound turkey is $25. But better deals could be out there because Farm Bureau shoppers check prices before most grocery store chains begin featuring their lower holiday prices. Next, the Biden administration will be wrapping up its initiatives before President-elect Trump takes office. This includes its 2022 CHIPS Act. The law is meant to secure supply chains for advanced semiconductors and cut off reliance on Taiwan. The Commerce Department says only 2 deals worth a total of $7 billion have been finalized. That's out of a total of $39 billion in funding. Intel CEO said he's, quote, disappointed by how long and slow the process has been. U.S. Treasury bonds rallied today as investors cheered President-elect Trump's selection of Scott Bessent as Treasury Secretary. The hedge fund manager is expected to rein in the deficit and deliver a moderate approach on tariffs. Bessent is seen as a fiscal conservative. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal Sunday, the 62-year-old said tax cuts promised during the election would be a priority. In an interview earlier this year, he suggested trade tariffs would be a negotiating strategy. He also indicated that the policy might not be as simple as imposing across-the-board tariffs. Trump has called Bessent, quote, one of the most brilliant men on Wall Street and respected by everybody. Next, California's governor announced today that he will not let President-elect Trump put the brakes on the transition to EVs. Governor Gavin Newsom said he wants to revive the state's clean vehicle rebate program if Trump ends a federal tax credit for EVs. It's an incentive automakers have also called on the incoming president to keep. Newsom would have to negotiate with the state legislature to include this program in the state budget, which may not make the cut. A pleasant whiff coming from Bath and Body Works' latest earnings report. The company's third quarter performance beat analysts' estimates. As a result, it boosted its full-year outlook. Its parent company, which also owns Victoria's Secret and other chains, earned $106 million for the period. The CEO said the company is well-positioned to navigate a volatile retail environment and a shortened critical holiday calendar. Macys said that a former worker hit up to $154 million in shipping costs over almost 3 years. Department store operators said today that the employee linked to the issue is no longer working at the company. Macys discovered the problem when it was preparing its financial report. The company delayed its third quarter earnings release for an independent investigation. Macys said the investigation found no other employees involved. Meanwhile, the world's richest man is just one name interested in taking over MSNBC. Comcast is creating a new company for the channel along with CNBC and other cable networks, currently called SpinCo. In response to an ex-post from Donald Trump Jr. that incorrectly stated the channel is up for sale, Musk wrote, "How much does it cost?" Podcaster Joe Rogan also jumped in saying he would buy MSNBC. The network is not actually for sale, though. An analyst said he wouldn't expect a sale for at least 2 years after the spinoff. Otherwise, Comcast could face tax implications. So Thanksgiving is shaping up to be a record breaker for business. A new retail survey predicts more than 183 million people are planning to shop in-store and online from Thanksgiving Day through Cyber Monday. 57% of those cited good deals as their main reason for shopping. Retailers say they're ready for great prices and plenty of inventory. Holiday spending is expected to hit nearly $1 trillion this year. The survey was conducted by the National Retail Federation and Prosper Insights Analytics. Once a lunchtime favorite, the Lunchables brand is hitting some tough times now. Sales of the snack dropped 12% last quarter, according to Circana. Critics say the meals just aren't healthy enough. There is also strong competition from other trendy new snack brands. Parent company Kraft Heinz is promising big changes. and says turning the Lunchables brand around is a top priority for them. America is growing less and less of its own food. Fruit and vegetable production down significantly. The nation has become more reliant on imports. Here's the story on that.
America is growing less and less of its own food. Fruit production down 36% in the past 20 years. Vegetable production down over 6%, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Why? Because these crops make less money.
Fruit and vegetable farming is very difficult. Being in North Carolina with Hurricane Helene coming in and really kind of wiping out a lot of the western North Carolina. It's very challenging to, rebuild something that was already almost broken.
Zach Wyatt is the president of Carolina Farm Trust, a nonprofit that supports local farmers. He says many small farmers are getting out of fruits and vegetables altogether. They perish easily and are more labor intensive. Meanwhile, commodity crops like corn, wheat, and soybeans are more profitable. They're cheaper, easier to produce, less perishable, can be mass grown, and sell for more overseas. The government also subsidizes them. Wyatt says it's as if the system is incentivizing small farmers to go out of business, making America more reliant on Mexico.
The more reliant that we are on importing food is the more that we're reliant on power. If we can't feed ourselves, I don't even know how to respond to that.
Another factor is inflation, causing expenses to rise. Also, NAFTA, or the North American Free Trade Agreement, significantly altered the farming business in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. It promoted trade but made it harder to compete with foreign imports. The USMCA, which replaced NAFTA, didn't directly address this.
Bird flu was detected in a batch of raw milk sold in California. The affected product is cream top whole raw milk from Raw Farm with a best by date of November 27th. The company has issued a recall of this batch. The California Department of Public Health said no illnesses have been reported, but they advised against consuming it as a precaution. Raw milk is not treated to kill harmful germs and viruses. Millions of Americans are set to hit the road and airports this week as the Thanksgiving travel holiday gets underway, and two separate storms are set to hit parts of the U.S. that could cause significant delays. Let's take a look.
Planes, trains, and automobiles. The holiday travel season is underway. AAA is estimating a record-breaking 80 million people will travel 50 miles or more this week, and millions are expected to fly the friendly skies this Thanksgiving week.
TSA is expecting a potentially record-breaking holiday travel season. If recent experience is any guide, these will likely be some of the busiest travel days in U.S. history.
If you're flying or driving for Thanksgiving, weather could be an issue depending on your destination.
It's this system here. This is the one that's going to continue to spread its way across the country as we go through the rest of the week.
The roads have been pretty intense.
The roads are pretty slippery. There's a slush layer underneath there, so you have to really be careful.
The storm will move east to start the week, bringing lighter rainfall to much of the eastern U.S., and officials are urging travelers to pack their patience as delays could pile up.
While there are, of course, some factors that affect travel, especially the weather, that are truly out of anybody's control, we can take and have taken a number of steps to make travel better.
Officials urge travelers to be safe and give themselves plenty of time to reach their destination.
Meanwhile, workers at Charlotte Douglas International Airport have gone on strike just as Thanksgiving week comes around. They're protesting over what they say are unlivable wages. Airport service workers voted Friday to stop work in North Carolina and begin striking today. Union officials said the workers are demanding, quote, an end to poverty wages and demanding respect on the job during the holiday travel season. The striking workers normally still provide services like cleaning airplane interiors, clearing trash, and escorting passengers in wheelchairs. Charlotte Douglas Airport officials are predicting this holiday season to be the busiest on record. Now, a warning from lawmakers that Hong Kong has become a top crime center for money laundering and sanctions evasion. In a letter to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, several members of Congress called on her to reconsider ties with Hong Kong, especially when it comes to banking. The bipartisan group of lawmakers cited research that shows nearly 40% of goods shipped from Hong Kong to Russia last year were high-priority items like semiconductors. They said that Hong Kong has shifted from being a trusted global financial center to a critical player for China, Russia, Korea, and North Korea, and Russia. And companies and countries prepare for a second Trump term. Top executives met with a senior Beijing official. Reports indicate that Apple CEO Tim Cook joined about 24 execs to chat with China's Premier Li Qiang. This is the first high-level meeting of its kind since Trump won. Supply chain and trade issues were top of mind as both sides braced for possible tariff hikes on Chinese goods. For companies like Apple, trade disruptions are a major concern. The majority of its iPhones are made in China, and China is its second biggest market. Extra jabs being thrown in the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. Paul's most valuable promotions, which partnered with Netflix to live stream the event, is responding to claims that the match was fake or rigged. MVP released a statement that said in part that it was setting the record straight over incorrect and baseless claims. It said that both Paul and Tyson performed in good faith to the best of their abilities to win, and added that rigging a professional boxing match is a federal crime. All right, Wall Street, before we go, main indexes ended higher today, and the small cap Russell 2000 hitting an all-time high. Treasury yields came down, and those lower yields helped the rate-sensitive real estate sector rise. Barclays raised its full-year forecast for 2025 for the S&P 500, while Deutsche Bank set its target at 7,000 points by the end of 2025. And the Personal Consumption Expenditure Report, which is the central bank's preferred inflation gauge, will be on investors' radar later this week. As well, Macys fell sharply after the department store operator delayed the publication of its third quarter results. All right, that's all today for today's Business Matters. Back to you guys.